Hi all, thank you for coming today. My name is Marchelle Malana. I will be your host for Grand Rounds with Global Offsite Care. Just a reminder, this Grand Round is not CME accredited. However, the next one on December 14th will be. So for today, we will have a lovely presentation today by Marchelle Sellers. And now I will pass it over to Dr. Pecchia, who will introduce her.
Well, thank you, Marchelle, and to all the volunteers at Global Offsite Care for the good work of hosting and organizing these lectures and presentations. And thanks to you, and welcome to the team. And with that, I will also welcome Marchelle Sellers. Thank you for coming in today and sharing with us on this super interesting topic about how to use a device, specific device, to really bring people together to care, in this case, surgical care, and also to educate medical professionals about that care. Marchelle is the executive director of Ohana One International. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to delivering surgical care to areas of need globally. She'll talk about that a little bit more briefly. She's also the founder of what is now the Ronald McDonald House in Pasadena, wonderful organization, and has been working in pediatric medical children's charities as well. She studied nonprofit organizational management at USC, University of Southern California, and has been working in nonprofit management and leadership for over 20 years. As mentioned, Ohana One International supports and NGOs around the world with technology that connects surgeons and surgical staff together to help reduce the surgical access issue and surgical gaps. They currently utilize smart glass technology and are launching an app which will connect the surgical world worldwide. They're also deploying to virtual reality solutions for advanced surgical training. And with that, Ms. Sellers, thank you so much again for joining us, and I'll hand it off to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Dr. Pecchia, and good to see you again. I know that we connected several months ago and had a great conversation, so thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it. And Marchelle, thank you for hosting us today. So I welcome everybody. Really excited to be here and sort of give you some insight into this really cool technology that we're utilizing for humanitarian purposes. And I think what we do is very unique, and we're very excited. We've been doing this for quite some time. So I'm really happy to share that. Thank you again for Dr. Pecchia, the background. I have been sort of found my way into nonprofit and via children's medicine, with being at the Ronald McDonald House and understanding a need to connect families. And really that was my sort of entree into nonprofit. I have a personal story that got me there, a webinar for another day. But it's amazing how life kind of leads you into a path. And so being in that environment and being able sort of on the sidelines of helping families when they needed it. They didn't know that they needed it, but they did at the time. So that was really kind of an introduction into family care, and being able and understanding, because I was a family myself and didn't have that resource, being able to provide that resource for the families. But I just, after 8 years, I left feeling like I wasn't able to do anything to help the kids. You know, it was really hard to watch a lot of them going through their pain and their suffering and being at the hospitals. And that was really difficult. I left to get my master's, and I was recruited by an organization called Mending Kids. And Mending Kids was interesting, and I was super excited about that. And I led there for also another 8 years. And it was an organization that was bringing children to the US and also deploying out a mission team to go and take care of kids. And over the course of 8 years, We brought children here, but we had so many kids on our waiting list that we really had to turn around and deploy out more missions. And so that's what we did over the course of time. And like I said, over the 8 years that I was there, we went from doing one mission every 2 years. By the end, we were deploying out 33 missions. We were in 63 different countries doing international surgeries, what we called hometown missions, to take care of kids here in the United States. And we had a full comprehensive program. And what I realized, what I liked about that job, I liked a lot of things about doing that, right? It was amazing work. But what I really liked was the ability to when we were referred a case and there was a kid with club foot or a child that needed heart surgery or whatever, it was nice to be on the end to go, oh my gosh, I know what I can do about this. So I'm not a provider. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not a doctor. I'm sort of doctor adjacent. But it was a really amazing feeling to go. Before I was sort of on the sidelines and giving support. Now I get to be in the solution, arena. And that's where I like to be. I like the solutions. I like to solve problems. And while I was at Mending Kids, we wanted to do something innovative. And so we were introduced to Google Glass at the time. So we were deploying out these surgical teams. And what was happening is the teams were coming back and they were saying, gosh, the days went by so fast. We were there and we were training with our colleagues and we get to know them. And we were really having a good time, but we all got to get back to work. And that was really hard. It was hard for them to leave their colleagues. They got to know them so well. They wanted to do more. They were leaving kids behind that needed surgery, that they knew that they could help, but there just wasn't enough days. And also they were leaving kids behind that were in the ICU or that were in recovery. And as providers and physicians, that's really difficult to do when you don't have that follow-up. And so they were desperate to have these conversations with their local colleagues there and getting a little bit of information and some, but not that they would be if they were actually following through on all of the follow-up care. So there was a gap. We just noticed that there was this gap. There was a lot that was sort of missing. Like you plan for 3 months and you go to do the mission, and then maybe you'd follow up for the next 2 weeks, and then it fell off the map and radar until it was time to do the whole thing again. Meanwhile, you've got people that were really excited about your travels, but also working together and teaming together. So we started looking for a solution of that, how to address that issue. And we came across Google Glass, like I said, from a board member who worked at Google and gave us early entree to Google Glass. And it was super interesting, the technology. And I find that I really kind of like that area of innovation and entrepreneurship and technology and nonprofit. Like if we can use all these things for really good purposes, that's kind of where I want to live. I want to live in that little area right there. And it was really great. So we had 2 pairs of Google Glasses given to us. I went out and found software. It wasn't being used for medical. And this was it. I went to CES several years ago and it wasn't used for medical. They were using it for remote maintenance. I think the thing that they were looking at was if a subway stopped and broke down in New York, that the driver could kind of grab the glasses, go to the local junction box, and someone remotely could tell them how to fix it or her how to fix it, rather than having to wait until the technician was able to get to the junction box to do it. So that was sort of their like, oh, there's this remote maintenance technology. And I stood at the booth and I looked and I went, I think you could use this for surgery. I seriously think you can use this for surgery. So I spoke to them and they said, we hadn't broken into the medical field yet, but we really want to. And so we helped pioneer them, this particular software company, into the medical space. So I sent 2 pairs of Google Glasses, one to Mozambique and one to China. I sent them with the surgeons. I said, I don't know what we need to do with these. I feel like there's something here. I don't know what it is, but I'm really excited about it. But take these glasses and see what you can do. And they both went. They both came back. The doctor that went to China came back and said, well, they're interesting. I don't really see an application for them. I'm not totally sure. And he's a really incredible doctor, but he's like, I'm not sure. I'm not really seeing it, and hands me the glasses back. The plastic and reconstructive surgeon comes back from Mozambique and says, oh my gosh, these glasses are amazing. They're incredible. I'm so excited to use them. This is going to be really great. I have the mentee in Mozambique is really excited to use them. I'm going to be training with them. And so these are wonderful. Thank you so much. And I said, great. Where are the glasses? And he said, well, I left them there. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you leave them there? You were supposed to take them and come back with them. And I said, these are $3,500 glasses that we bought. We didn't get them for free. And he said, well, because I thought, well, if I leave them there, then Dr. Santos, who is his trainee, said he could wear them. And while he's operating, I could watch him from afar. And that way, over the course of time, I can watch what he's doing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And we came to find out, and, kind of our exciting, sort of story was that Dr. Pedro Santos is one of only 3 plastic and reconstructive surgeons in all of Mozambique at the time. And a place where people and a lot of children were falling into fires, and there was a high incidence of burns. So he had a high rate of patients that he wanted to take care of more and more. And so Dr. David Kolber, who was working with him at the time, said, I'm going to give him the glasses because he had tried to take his COSEXAs twice and he didn't pass them. He failed his COSEXAs, his board exams, and he had one more opportunity to take them. And Dr. Kolber said, I'm going to make you a deal. You and I are going to work together over the next 18 months, and I'm going to get you to pass those boards. And so through the use of the smart glass technology and no trips, they were able to work together and do cases together and answer questions. So not only when he went to go take the COSEXAs did he pass, but when he did, he was the 2nd highest score in all of Africa. And that was a really huge achievement. And all of a sudden we were like, oh my gosh, we are onto something here. We really are onto something here. So Ohana One began as kind of an offshoot to Mending Kids. It was really a group of people that saw the need for this technology and other technology to say, wait, we can do something so much greater and provide so much more continuity and follow up and colleague building, collegiality, all of these things that can happen through just being able to be connected more than not. What was our hypothesis in starting this? More training is better for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, right? More training is more training. It's always better. So we were just sort of setting out to prove what we knew to already be true. So really, really excited about utilizing this technology. And we launched prior to COVID. And this is important. This was not because of COVID. We were ahead of the curve, way ahead of the curve. So prior to COVID, our new board got together and said, okay, we want to find 6 teams, 6 that are going to be exactly like Dr. Kolber and Dr. Santos. We want 6 teams, and we are willing to put up the money and hire you, Marchelle, to come on and get those 6 teams up and running on the glasses to prove what we know to be true. We want to see if this does really work, because it seems like it does. I had requests for 23, 24 glasses right out the door. We had teams setting up right away. So I had to go back to them and say, I can't pick 6. I have to pick 24. We have to get all of these teams onboarded. Everybody's wanting to do this. And then COVID hit and we were catapulted. But the idea for the glasses was really to augment training, to provide equity and access to people that are in LMICs that do not have the same access to training, mentorship, resource, whatever, just because they're out in a remote area. We also wanted to give them support 24/7, or at least to be connected to people in a way that was personal. So instead of going to a conference once a year and saying, I've got these 4 cases I've been having a really tough time with, and these patients have been waiting, that they can pick up the glasses and they can get someone on and they can say, hey, I have a patient right now that I need help with. So we wanted to be an organization that supports surgical education and access all the time, boots on the ground, getting into the day-to-day with them, and really being there to say, we support it. It's a little corny. Ohana means, well, that part's not corny. Ohana means family in Hawaiian. The corny part is that we sort of feel like once you come in, everyone is part of the family. And I think that we've really adopted that sort of feeling that, everybody's out there fighting the fight and really trying to take care of of people, and they're doing it for all the right reasons. And so could we come along with technology that we can help to grant to them to really make sure that they have the tools that they need to get started. So this is all about equity and access, and we were really excited to do it and to bring really cool equipment into environments that sometimes don't see cool equipment for 20 years when we're done with them. And we were like, it's really not great. It's more fair, don't you think, to bring in something that's, really working for everybody right now so that everybody can enjoy the technology. So with that, I have a few slides to go through, and then I will show you the glasses. I've got 2 glasses to demo today and to show you how we use the technology. But Marchelle's going to bring up this slide show here. And we call our program, I think if we could go to the very first slide, the surgical site program. So surgical site for us is the remote technology and utilizing remote technology as a team. And we can go to the next slide. And this is really the problem. And I'm preaching to the choir here. So I'm just reviewing what we already know, which is really the lack of surgical access, that we have a critical shortage. This has been a critical shortage for a long time. And this could be because people don't have access because they don't live close to where they can get the surgery. They don't have money for the surgery. But on the provider side, it can be that the providers don't have the resources that they need. They may be very, very well trained, but they don't. I mean, if the anesthesia machine is down, no one's having surgery. If the hospital can't afford to, provide the maintenance or provide the care. So there's a lot of different reasons why there's a surgical gap worldwide. And it's a very serious problem. And we have not had any difference in surgical training in 50 years. We just haven't. We're doing the same things. We're deploying the same missions, or we're talking on the phone, or we're talking through, FaceTime or whatever, but it really hasn't changed a whole lot. And that's why we wanted to sort of, kind of come in and shake things up a bit and say, how do we use the technology? So next slide. This is a really short video that I wanted to play because I think it's going to really explain. So this is Dr. David Culber, and that's Dr. Pedro Santos right there. So hopefully everyone can see and hear.
Surgery is very humbling. It's very difficult. It's an art and a science, and it needs all the support of everybody to make something go right. But there is a massive surgical gap. The surgeons in resource-deprived countries have lack of access to training. They don't have the knowledge, education, or even having seen some of the procedures that they're then asked to do. They have nobody to turn to, so you have to make very difficult choices of who you're going to take care of. They see all around them death, destruction, poverty, and despite all the obstacles, they will stay and fight the fight because they're determined and they want to save lives. Their calling is to be a healer. Just because you were born in a resource-deprived country doesn't mean that you should have to be faced with a life of difficulty. Having had the opportunity to travel around the world, I realized at an early age how lopsided our world is, and most importantly, how much suffering goes on that is not needed. People are suffering from very easily fixable problems. The ripple effect for their families, for the economy, for the rest of that nation is incredible. The spiral of inequality and poverty gets larger, and it's almost impossible for them to catch up. I'm Dr. David Culber, and I am a co-founder of Ohana One. Ohana means family in Hawaiian, and family means no one is left behind. We believe in order to bridge the surgical gap, year-round education and support is necessary. We've been doing remote training for a long time, since 2015. We really are the leaders in global surgical training. We use these amazing smart glasses, which is worn by the operating surgeon in the developing country. We can give them direction through the glasses, where to cut, where to not cut, where to do the dissection, and the feedback is instantaneous. It essentially allows us to virtually scrub in together thousands of miles away. That's pretty cool. So here's how it works. First, donate. Next, Ohana One will provide the support and the technology. Surgeons get the glasses, they connect with the mentor and get real-time training. And lastly, they can perform surgeries and will save lives together. The technology that we've developed is extremely affordable and extremely efficient. It's one thing being a doctor and helping one patient at a time. It's another helping another doctor who can do about 10,000 surgeries in a career. That is exponential. It's important to remember this is not in place of mission trips. The mission's the beginning. It allows us to help that surgeon 365 days a year. Because of your donation, surgeons are saving lives. They will have access on a daily basis to mentors, someone they can reach out to, someone who they get support from, someone who they know will be there when they're worried or concerned or don't know what to do. By having a mentor, they can go as far as anyone else can go in this entire world. And over time, the mentee becomes the mentor. It has a ripple effect. Please donate. Support a team for a year. You're helping to level the playing field and bridge the gap in global surgical care.
Thank you, Marchelle. We are all already in 48 countries with 130 surgeons on our platform. Now it's been growing. We're in 8 different specialty areas as well. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. This is really it. This is it right here, all in a nutshell. Caring for the patient helps one patient, but training the surgeon helps thousands of patients. And that's really what we realize, especially after you come back from a mission trip where you can take care of 20 or 25 patients, and there's so much more to do. And you realize that empowering the surgeon and training alongside of them in partnership is really the more it's a better investment, especially after you've been doing mission trips for a long time. So like Dr. Kolber said in the video, we're really looking to augment the mission trips and augment the relationship utilizing the smart glasses. Okay, so next slide, please. This is just a time frame here, but we can skip through that. Just cute pictures. And this is our focus, really, these 4 blue focus areas. If we could go up just a little bit, sorry. Oh, sorry, yeah, yes, to those 4, yeah, right here. So the kind of the 4 very simple focus areas are creating a network of surgeons. And that's really so that everybody can be helpful to everybody else. I think that everybody's been a bit individualized and maybe they're, we're all trying to create networks. And so we also wanted to make sure that we create a network, that we utilize remote solutions that aren't what we've seen the success of is a mentor-mentee model and expanding equity and access. But I want to focus on this mentor-mentee model. It's not just giving someone glasses and saying, oh, here we go. And people are like, oh, this is so cool. I want to use the technology. Where we found, like if you asked what the best practice was, what's the secret that makes this really, really work? What was the secret in Dr. Pedro's and Dr. Kolber's relationship? It was that you had someone who wanted to teach and you had someone that wanted to learn. And they were willing to do whatever it took to make sure that they did that together. It wasn't about the technology. It wasn't about, oh, I want to participate with this. It was that you had somebody that you believed in and that they believed in you and you wanted to spend time together because you had an outcome. The glasses are the conveyance to the outcome. The technology is the conveyance to the teaching. It's really about the relationship. And that's really, really where we saw success as well. How our current program works. The mentee in our program, in our surgical site program, the mentee is provided with a pair of glasses. What we do, only the mentee has to wear the glasses. The mentor actually can do all of their remote training through their phone, their tablet, or their laptop. The mentor then can watch from wherever they are. Like you can see here, Dr. Kolber is watching from his television. And the team chooses a procedure to teach, and the training sessions. What's really great is through the software, the videos are recorded 24/7, so that they can go back and watch the library, they can watch their surgery, whatever the case may be. Those are all in a digital library. So the mentor can literally assist and train from anywhere. Down below, you'll see a picture of Dr. Mark Meyerson. He's one of our orthopedic surgeons, and he is utilizing a tablet through the software and guiding his mentee on the other end. So, okay, next slide, please.
No. Okay, now I forgot. How about lastly, how on the list? FMC.
Okay, so what I'd like to be able to show you, like I said, is that the remote training can help anywhere. And so on the right, this is Dr.
In the diagram, they attend to the ground round area and just 12 participants.
And sorry about that interruption.
No, that's okay.
We need a mute for a telemedicine college and clinic in Nigeria. Could you please mute? We're getting background noise. So Marchelle, you may want to message them. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Appreciate that. Yep, no problem. So on the remote training, this is kind of cool. So the way that I was saying is, remember, the mentee is the one that wears the glasses and they're the ones that are doing the work. So in this case, you'll see Dr. Kolber, who's being able to mentor. He steps out during a dinner to help Dr. Pedro on a case. You'll note my favorite part is that he has a cocktail in his hand. But you can tell that this can happen just from anywhere. We can just, this is a really short little video. Watch how it works.
Part of the tendon? Oh, so you could put the FDP back together, maybe, right?
This is very, very delacerated. This tip here is very delacerated.
Okay. Well, you could always hook the FDP of the index into 3, so it'll have some motion.
So that's the cool, not that everyone's going to be interrupted via dinner, obviously, but he's super committed. But this is kind of a anywhere on the go. And that's the point of what I was saying on, boots on the ground. When someone needs your help, they can make a call out. You can get on, you can help them through something. This wouldn't be happening normally. It's hard to say who Dr. Pedro would be reaching out to if he didn't have Dr. Kolber, kind of on speed dial, as it were. But really, really easy technology to use. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So we're just sort of talking about our goal to get more of our smart glasses into the hands of surgeons and their team members to reduce their case log, to reduce the surgical deficit, but also something really important that we're addressing, we believe, is trying to reduce brain drain by really encouraging and training surgeons who want to stay in their countries, who want to take care of their own people, to be able to be taught and learn right there with the resources that they have, keeping them so that they don't necessarily have to travel or go somewhere else. So that's a really big part of what we're trying to do, is really just empowerment and partnership and support. And a lot of our mentors, of course, say that they learn far more from the mentees when they're doing these sessions, and they really have a good time together. They really enjoy the sessions a lot. Next slide, please. And we can keep going. So this was our program update as of December 21. So right now, this is the countries and the specialties. What I love about our program is we don't dictate country, we don't dictate specialty. If you come to us with a use case and say, this is how I want to be able to use the smart glasses and the technology, we work with you case by case and we get the technology set up. But we don't tell you how you're going to use it. I love that about us. We want to give you the technology that supports the training that you're doing, the work that you're doing. This just happens to be where everybody is right now. Next slide, please. And we can go down to NGO partners. This is one of the things that I really, really love. And I guess I've always been really collaborative. I don't feel like our NGO world works very closely together. I think we say we do and we really don't. We all work in sort of these silos. And one of the things I love is that we are partnering with all kinds of different nonprofit organizations and hospitals and NGOs to really give them these tools that they can be using on their trips with their surgeons or just in other, like I said, other use cases. Really unusual. Normally, organizations don't work like that. So it's something that I'm very, very proud of because this has been incredibly intentional. Next slide. Just some additional stuff that Ohana One does to support. We still do missions where our doctors like going out and being in the field. And also it's good to do some resets and being able to join friends in person. We also support with journal clubs. We do special donated surgeries and we're working on surgical conference presentations. One of the cool things is we've had both Boston Scientific and MTF Biologics reach out to us early on and said, how are you doing this remote work? We can't figure out how to do it. We've been struggling with it. Could you please share best practices with us? And we made some introductions to get them started because their device salespeople weren't able to travel the way that they were used to. And so that was a really nice kind of nod to us to say, you're on the right track. You're doing something. We want to do it too. How did you do this? And of course, ours is humanitarian purposes. Theirs is slightly different, but it was really nice. Next slide, please. We sent 20 emergency kits full of smart glasses and technology to doctors that were working in Ukraine, which was a really great project for us. We were very excited to do that. We did that in partnership with Vuzix and our software company, TeleView. Next slide. And we just started to say to ourselves, okay, well, that was great. You know, we're doing this. This is wonderful. We're scaling, we're growing, we're utilizing remote technology. And this is wonderful in this particular use case. But what we started to realize was, I think that there was we thought that there might have been a kind of a gap of like a need for there to be a bigger platform where surgeons from everywhere could get together and kind of talk to each other, relay to each other, reach out to each other, be connected. And so on the next slide, you'll see we are in January. It's not launching in June of 22. We've made a lot of revisions to it, but we're launching what's called the OO app. And the OO is going to be really exciting because it's an open source platform for surgeons and surgical staff all over the world. We're not building it for ourselves. We're not a big NGO saying only our NGO can use it. We're opening it up for everybody to use. It's going to allow the surgeons to get on. This will be sort of Ohana's new front door, but we're going to be able to make remote calls. They're going to be able to share cases and performance logs, document their data, and have a chat feature. So instead of sort of using a WhatsApp or a FaceTime, utilizing our app and our technology allows the school or the NGO or whoever's being supported to track those calls and those training hours, because any calls that anybody's making now on FaceTime and WhatsApp is all great, but we're losing logging. And as an organization that needs to raise money, we can't track those calls when they're being used, those training. There's lots of training going on out there, but nobody's able to log it. So we would be able to log all of those calls that were coming in. My favorite feature on this is going to be the ability for the mentees to call out for help. And we had a situation a few years ago in Liberia where a 9-year-old girl fell out of a tree. And the doctors there admittedly said, we don't know where to start. We don't know what to do. She crushed her pelvis. So we don't know if we need a general pediatric surgeon. We need an orthopedic pediatric surgeon. We need a pediatric urologist. They needed a lot, but they didn't know where to start, and they didn't know how to do the case. It took 4 years. Now, 2 of those years were COVID, but even still 2 years it took for them to find a solution in Ghana. And the doctors in Ghana said, we can do the surgery. We just need to get her over here, but we can do all the surgeries that she needs. And she did. She got her surgery about 3 months ago. If we had the app and the doctors in Liberia were on the app, they could put out a little shout that says, hey, we've got this, this 9-year-old female. They could upload her DICOMs, they could share it out, and the doctors in Ghana could have gotten back immediately and said, we can help her over here. And because the NGOs will be on the app as well, they could say, hey, we'll pay for the family to go from here to there, and we'll pay for the lodging when they get there, and we'll cover the expenses. All that could have happened so much faster. So that's what we're sort of looking at doing with our app, and that's launching in January. We did add a whole bunch of extra features to it. We've got 2 more things that we're working on in the VR space, which is really cool. Next slide, please, is surgical broadcasting. This is super interesting and something that we're launching in the Philippines. And it's going to be utilizing virtual reality for immersive, what we're calling surgical broadcasting. So a lot of the glasses that we talked about with AR is really a mentor watching what the mentee is doing. In this case, it's the opposite. So the surgeon in Manila will be doing an operation, a cardiac operation, and all of their cardiac surgeons in the provinces will be able to put on goggles and be able to watch as if they're standing in the room with them doing the surgery. And why we're launching it in the Philippines is they've got this great Philippine Heart Center, and the government has really done a lot of work to try to support the different cardiac centers in the provinces, but it's hard for patients to travel. It's hard for the surgeons to travel to get that kind of training. And so this is great. There's through a company that we're partnering with called Ameritech. They've got a 3D camera that's the size of an IV cart. You can see that to the right. That would live in the Philippine Heart Center. It's mobile. It can be moved around. And then all the docs, like I said, in the provinces have the goggles, and they can scrub in for an event, put the glasses on, the goggles on, and they literally can be like they're standing there. And it's a live environment. So they can be talking to the main surgeon. They can be asking questions. They can be muted. They can be seeing all the various feeds, and it gives them a complete 180 of the live surgery environment versus the glasses that are only giving you a see what I see sort of a feel. So excited about this. And we are open to talking about other locations and doing this in other locations. So if you want any of this, I will put my information in the chat, but you're welcome if there's some interest in having this technology available, and we can talk about that as well. And the last thing is our surgical simulation. And this is also utilizing VR for practice. So you're looking at the ability to put on, again, a pair of goggles and practice doing procedures prior to actually doing them in the OR. And we're looking at launching with a club foot casting and series of small surgeries. There's not a whole bunch that goes along with those, but we've got about 3 or 4 surgeries that are in the pipe that we're going to be having designed. And those will be addressing most of the birth defects that are going on and being able to train worldwide. So we're very excited. And immersion, when you put these glasses on, they have a 98% participation rate versus when you're on a Zoom or something else and you can be easily distracted. So anyway, this is super exciting and really kind of shows you the gamut. So Marchelle, thank you so much for the slides, and I think we'll end there. But just so that you can see kind of where we're coming from a humanitarian basis, is really looking at technologies in all their various forms and utilizing those for training. I'll show you, I've got 2 quick pairs of glasses 2 pairs of glasses I can show you quickly. The one that you saw in the video is our Vuzix M400s. Those are really great for surgery. Those are out on loan right now. We just got back from doing a conference in Kentucky, but I'm going to show you the new Blade 2. This is really good if you're, it's not great for surgery. It doesn't give you the detail, but if you're doing lab work, or if you're doing remote patient work, or seeing patients pre-operative, post-operatively, you can wear the Blade 2s. Not only are they kind of stylish, I kind of think, but they're able to be put on just like a regular pair of glasses. And through the software, so if Marchelle, for instance, was on the software through her laptop or phone, could see what I'm seeing right now, which is all of you. So she would be visuing like that too. If I'm looking down, she would be able to see my notepad and my notes. And obviously, if I was doing something else, she could see exactly what I'm seeing at the time I'm seeing it. Now, she is able through her phone or laptop to mentor me back through software. So if she has the software like Dr. Colbert did on his phone, she actually could go into the annotation tools and she could be freeze framing. She could be zooming in, zooming out. She could be making circles and annotations, drawing arrows, uploading videos and photos for me to be able to see and watching what I'm doing. And that all is happening on the Blade 2 in a little visual window that pops up that I can see at the same time. So while I'm wearing the glasses, there's an onboard camera. She can see what I'm seeing. And at the same time, there's a little window that pops up inside for me that will show me what she's teaching me back. So it's kind of an all-in-one. So it's a pretty cool thing. These things are really sturdy and they come in a little case. It's about the size of this little teeny tiny, it's pretty small here. And by the way, we are shipping some out to UCSD. They're utilizing it in their stem cell research, and we are sending a pair of these to space. They're going to be using them on the International Space Station so that people can be watching, the scientists can be watching the experiments that they're doing up in space through their program. So we're pretty excited about the Blade. We also have this funky little thing, and this is the RealWear. It's made by RealWear. It's the Navigator 500, probably the closest to the Vuzix that we have. And it all has an onboard camera. It has a little window camera, so similar, and it goes like that. I don't have the headband part, but there's a headband part that goes with it. So basically it's kind of an onboard sort of a thing. So once I have it connected and I put it on and I have my hands are free, I can look up and you can see that this actually can make adjustments where it needs to go, just like this. So it can also go up in case you're wearing loops or whatever. But it's both of them come with a battery that lasts about 2 or 3 hours. They also work on 3G to 4G. We can do bandwidth tests prior. But the whole idea, just kind of in, just in closing here, is that we're utilizing this technology for remote training, remote work, and we can find a solution that works. We've got lots of different use cases. In Nigeria, in the rural areas of Nigeria, all of their primary physicians were poached to Abu Dhabi and to Dubai, and they are literally left without any providers. And so we sent glasses to those rural areas, and they're having community members utilize them to connect them with the larger regional centers so that they can provide primary care. We also are contacting and working now with WaterStep, which is a water filtration organization, and they need our technology to be able to use it for remote maintenance on their water filtration tanks in Africa. We've been working with them. So we've got lots of different use cases, lots of ways you can use it. It's what I say is it all comes down to, boy, I really wish someone was here right now that could help me with this. And that's how you pair together. So in any of those circumstances, that's really when the glasses come in handy. And we had another really great use case. We had an orthopedic surgeon in Lahore, Pakistan, who was the mentee, and he was teamed up with a couple of mentors to learn flat foot reconstruction. And after 7 sessions on the smart glasses, he was not only able to turn around and do the flat foot reconstruction, but started to also train his colleagues that are there. And it's like Dr. Colbert said in the video, it's real time answering those real questions, in the moment, versus, hey, I had this case, 6 months ago, I really wish I could have called you at that point. So anyway, that sort of is kind of the coverage of what we're providing. And I would love to take any questions. And thank you all again for the opportunity to present today.
Marchelle, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for that
Thank you.
review and just the opportunity to learn from your experience and generate some questions. And I'll start with the first one.
Okay.
Noticing your current partners and the history of the growth of your organization, how are potential academic, corporate, and NGO partners identified and the relationships developed for future initiatives and projects? How does that start? Who reaches out to whom, and then how does it go from there?
Well, it's a great question. We do a lot of these. So we do a lot of webinars. We are at conferences, and a lot of it is word of mouth at this point. It's also spread by Vuzix and Teleview. We also use Help Lightning. So basically, it's whenever anybody has a use case, they get sent over to us. I'll put my information in the chat. So a lot of times I'll do a webinar like this and someone will contact me and say, hey, I have a great use case. And is this something that we can do? And we'll, start some offline conversations together. We work on it. Ohana One, if you're a surgeon or an NGO, Ohana One will provide up to $7,500 as a grant towards the technology initially to get started, which usually covers a couple pairs of glasses and the software, so you can really get started. And then if you want to go further than that, then we offer a 30% discount on our rates if you want to continue to expand and use more. I mean, WaterStep has, I think, 65. They're in 65 countries with 140 filtrations. So, we're able to get them started and then we can support them to get going. But that's generally how it comes. And we've got, surgical alliances and that kind of thing to get out and sort of spread the word. But a lot of it becomes word of mouth. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for that.
Of course. Yep.
Additional questions? Sometimes it takes a little delay from some of our international partners.
That's
You're
okay.
accustomed to that.
Thanks for the elaborate presentation on telemedicine. You're welcome. Please, how can mentees and trainees in Nigeria benefit from the smart glass technology? Yes, and I also, anybody can benefit anywhere. It's really a matter of when you want to connect to somebody and train with them. And I am so glad you brought this up because I also want to mention that this is not in any way where the mentors have to be in any particular area in a developed country or whatever. In fact, we have quite a few mentees and mentors that are within their same country or within the same continent training each other. So anytime that there's an opportunity to, again, sort of say, boy, I wish someone could be here right now, or I wish such and such would be here right now, we can connect them. So like in Nigeria, they're training each other. We've got training going on between Tanzania and Mozambique, from Mozambique Southern to Mozambique Northern, and from Europe to Africa and also to Central America. So anytime, anywhere there's an opportunity for training, it can happen in all of those directions. If you already have someone that's mentoring you or that you want to, or that you want to mentee, that's always the easiest to get set up. If you're looking for somebody, that'll be closer to January when we launch the app, because then we will be having sort of a matchmaking opportunity for people to say, hey, I'm really excited about learning, or I'm really excited about teaching, and I would really like to team up with somebody. But right now, if you have someone identified, we can work with you to get those glasses.
Great. Another question on the one-on-one team partnering model that you were just referencing. Who are the players? And I would imagine one is the key individual in country and on site, and the other would, and I'm guessing that it would be either a consultant or an expert either in country in perhaps a larger medical center, and that's the partnership, or it may be a partner here in stateside in the US. Is that
Yep.
kind of how those partnerships are put together?
That's exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right. And so it can be from an institution that's providing the mentorship. It can be a one-on-one. I mean, we have a lot of surgeons that do humanitarian work, and they travel and they want to keep track of their friends and buddies, and so they will utilize the glasses in country. It's really, I love this because it's so flexible. The whole idea is just, what is the environment where you need to support remote education? You don't want to lose contact. You want to be doing more from afar. And then that's when we provide the technology. So it does really come in a whole bunch of different forms and use cases. I think there's 6 or 7 use cases right now and 3 or 4 more that are coming. So that's that. I also, if you don't mind, Dr. Peccia, wanted to mention something. I wanted to be sure. A lot of people talk about privacy and issues regarding patient privacy. On the TeleView app, the software that we use, it actually has spatial blurring technology built in. So as you're training and you're on the glasses, the people images automatically get blurred. Also, anything that you're doing while you're on the glasses, if you choose to record, those recordings and all of those sessions go into a HIPAA compliant backend. You would have your own access to that backend. You can get into it. You can decide to utilize those videos, not utilize those videos. You can download them. You can edit those. You can bumper them. Again, you can use them if you want to, but that's all HIPAA compliant. And there, if you're uploading photos, that's all also kept in the HIPAA compliant backend, which I think is really nice. Wi-Fi is always a question. Personal hotspots, mobile hotspots work the best. Operative rooms that are outfitted with Wi-Fi or hospitals that are. We run speed tests prior to sending out the glasses. But once we send out the glasses, if there's still an issue with Wi-Fi, part of what we will support is the grant towards paying for a hotspot or a repeater, something that's going to make sure that you don't have that barrier to access. So we cover all of that. We prep the glasses for shipping. We do that at our cost. We prefer to someone's going to hand carry them. If not, and we will ship those to wherever in the US someone's about to leave, or we ship those overseas, also at our cost. We do all of the onboarding, all of the training, all of the tech support. And if it gets to a point where we can't answer the question, then we bring in our hardware and software partners to do that. So we don't expect that the surgeons are going to be training. The mentor is certainly not having to train the mentee on the glasses or how to use that. We have an entire system that we work. We get everybody trained up separately. We get them all ready to go, train them on the software. And then we do what's called a marriage call. And we bring the two together on a marriage call. Usually that's the initial phone call where everybody gets connected on the hardware and software. It's a super fun moment. And we do that outside of the operative environment. You might be meeting each other's cats. You might be talking to their family, seeing where they live, looking at their office. But that's what we do. And then the very first call where we're bringing the two together in a surgery setting or in a medical setting, we also join for that call to be sure that there's no issues and everybody's understanding and understanding the software. It's a very easy learn, but in the moment, sometimes you forget. So, hi, Mary.
I have a question. Is there a handout?
Oh, I can send something to be shared. I can share that with Marchelle if you'd like, so that you can have some information.
No, not just to me, but if everyone on here would like one.
Sure, I'm happy to send some stuff and then you can share it out with the attendees. Absolutely. Yes. And you can also visit the website. I'll put this in here. It's Ohana 1.1. And if you go to our vision page, the information is on there. And also we have a very, very cool digital annual report. It's not a snooze, boring annual report. It actually moves and is fun and has a good time. So you can get through that information pretty quickly there as well. That is on the website too. Yes. So, but yeah, happy to share.
Great. Okay. Any other questions from our attendees today? And while you're thinking that over, just a reminder, this will be posted in the recorded format on the website at globaloffsitecare.org. And Marchelle, you're also welcome to distribute that to anyone that in reverse that may want to know more about us, and looking forward to future conversations and how we can make the world a little bit better place and reduce suffering and deliver care to folks in need around the world. So with that, if we don't have any other further questions, I want to thank you again for joining us today.
My pleasure.
It was great having you. And with that, I'll send it back to Marchelle to close. Marchelle.
Thank you all for coming today, and to our presenter for her insightful presentation. We are coming towards the end of our time here. Just a reminder, this meeting is not CME accredited. However, the next one on December 14th will be, and we will be the recording posted will be available probably in the next day or so. So with that said, have a great Wednesday.
Wait. Isn't there something on December 7th?
I will check on that.
Dr. Smith had a question.
Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, you're muted. Please unmute if you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Great.
What's the cost of one of those glasses?
Oh, sorry, I think I didn't catch the very beginning of that sentence.
What's the cost of the glasses?
Oh, what's the cost of the glasses? If you were to buy them directly, the Vuzix that I showed you, they retail for $1,300. The Navigator that I showed you, this retails for about $2,500. We're not using this one quite yet. We're using the Blade, and then also the ones that were shown in the video, which is about $1,900. But Ohana One provides grants so that they are free up to about $7,500 for teams that want to be able to utilize the hardware and the software. There's a cost to both of those, but as a nonprofit, part of what we do is we support that as a grant. So we wouldn't expect you to do any purchasing unless you were purchasing a whole bunch of them over and above what we would give you. And then we could work with you on that. But you would get our costs, our discounted costs, and we would support that also by another 30%. So we really try to do everything we can, especially if this is a great technology and you're thinking this is really going to work for us. We would really like to use it. But yeah, initially there's no cost, there's no hidden costs either. There's no hidden charges or anything else. No. And I'm happy to talk to you if you want to reach out to me in email. We could definitely chat through something if you have an idea for how they might be able to be used.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Great. Okay. Well, it looks like we're at the end of our hour. And again, thank you all for attending, and Mrs. Sellers for an excellent presentation and our opportunity to share in a special way.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It was nice meeting everybody, and I look forward to hearing from you. Yeah,
You bet.
again. Okay.
Take care all.
Right.
Mhm.